Om Swastiastu. I'm John Daniels, and welcome to this edition of Bali Update Podcast. In this Bali Update Podcast, I'd like to continue a yearly tradition by sharing a unique piece of poetry celebrating the Christmas season written by a neighbor of mine here in Bali, Richard E. Lewis. Richard E. Lewis was born in Indonesia to American missionaries and found himself in 1965, at the tender age of just 9, living in Bali during a period often referred to as the years of living dangerously. Born in the tropics, young Richard must have more than once summoned up his powerful imagination to imagine stories of a white Christmas, evergreen trees decorated for the holidays, and a jolly man dressed in red who distributed gifts worldwide from a sleigh to good boys and girls. I wonder if part of the Christmas tradition at the Lewis household in Bali included the reading of what is one of the world's most well-known pieces of seasonal verse, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," originally written by Clement Clarke Moore in 1823. As written by Moore, the familiar poem tells of a father awoken from his sleep on Christmas Eve by the noise of St. Nicholas landing on the roof in a sleigh drawn by 8 tiny reindeer. St. Nick, also known as Santa Claus, makes an entrance via the chimney, stuffs toys and goodies and stockings for good boys and girls, smiles, and then quickly departs on the remainder of his annual tour of joy and gift-giving, wishing as he flies off, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Now, how Richard Lewis actually first encountered the poem is unclear. What is more certain, however, is that some years later, as an adult, Richard Lewis became a well-known, prolific author of fiction and penned his own mirth-filled rendition of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," inspired by his childhood growing up in rural Bali. So, without further delay, and with apologies to Clement Moore, and profound thanks to my neighbor, Richard E. Lewis, who gave me permission to share this rendition of this classic, I'd like to now transport our listeners to a Christmas Eve on a tropical beach on the island of Bali. "'Twas the night before Christmas, and in our bungalow the listrik was mati, and all the candles aglow. The flying ants were swarming, and the kids were suspicious, for they believed that St. Nick, was somebody fictitious. They were huddled together on one bamboo bed, trying to stay awake, but their eyes were like lead. The missus and I listened to the sudden barking of dogs, joined the chorus of big-throated frogs. Then there came from the garden such a loud clatter, I sprang from the teaker to see what was the matter. A surprise visit from family traveling afar, or a merry tourist gotten lost from the bar. The moon on the lake that had been the front lawn glowed with a light that was brighter than dawn, and what to my wondering eyes should I see but a miniature dough-car rolling past the mango tree. The driver was chubby and wearing a sarong, and the dough-car was pulled by 8 little barongs. But was this St. Nick? I admitted I was doubtful. He looked an awful lot like the Australian consul. The little old man was lively and quick, and pulled from his mouth a worn toothpick to yell at his charges, tugging his ride, prancing and dancing with high-footed pride. Now mister, now sister, now Taurus and Boule, en masse, en gus, ensemble and goulet, to the top of the porch, to that hole in the roof. Get along quick, chop chop and hoof hoof. And then overhead I heard such a hard landing, I was surprised that the walls were still standing. As I drew in my head and was turning around, through the hole St. Nicholas shot through with a bound. His beard was matted and he was shiny with sweat. It's humidity that gets you, and that you can bet. He unslung his sack with an almighty crash, just like a picker who's been through the trash. "I don't like the wet season," he said with a sigh, "but your children have been good, at least since July." I didn't know about that, but I wasn't going to argue. In fact, I was hoping he had a toy for me too. He filled the kids' baskets with all kinds of goodies and said, "I've been to the North Pole, souvenir hoodies." "I must be off," said he, "for there's still much to do. Can you believe there are good children out there in Canggu?" Up he sprang and got stuck in the hole. I pushed him through with a long bamboo pole. I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Salamat Hari Natal to all, and to all a good night." From everyone here at Bali Update, our very best wishes for a joyous holiday season and a healthy and prosperous year ahead.